Hey guys, Vicki Lemons here and welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back. I am so glad to have you here. In today's video, we're going to talk about trauma in marriage. Sometimes people don't realize how much trauma can happen in marriage, but not the type of trauma that would make you want to end the relationship. It's just trauma that needs to be worked out in order for the relationship to grow and get stronger and get deeper. And I'm going to give you an example of that. I was 19 and I was married almost a year. I was almost 20 and we were pregnant. I was 3 months pregnant. Unfortunately, I ended up losing the baby. I had what was called a placental abruption. And in that placental abruption, my uterus basically, the baby disconnected from me. So it caused me to have what would be considered like a spontaneous abortion. So it was essentially like a full delivery for me. I got to work. I was sitting in my car. I stood up out my car and just gush came out. So I was obviously scared. The good thing is that I worked in a hospital. So I contacted my husband and they took me to the emergency room. They told me the baby was still viable. He had a heartbeat and that there were, the blood levels were okay as far as the HCG levels, I believe it was. So 3 days go by, I'm still bleeding. They bring me in every day to check my levels. The levels were rising, but I was still bleeding. I believe they told me later on that the levels can rise and still, and the abortion can still be happening. Like the spontaneous abortion can still be happening, which is a miscarriage, right? But this was more like a labor because it just how far along I was. It's a little over 3 months. So I get to the hospital 3 days later. The bleeding never stopped. The pain started getting really, really bad. Once I get to the hospital, it was like it went from 0 to 60. The pain was just excruciating. I thought I was going to die. I really thought I was going to die. I did not think I was going to live through it. I was so extremely hot and sweating and the pain was just unbearable. And they said they couldn't give me anything for the pain just in case I had to consent to surgery or whatever. Now, I don't understand why that was now that I think about it, because my husband was there. He probably could have consented for me. But anyway, it was a military hospital. I don't know if that makes a difference, but that was the case. Long story short, I have the baby. It was so tiny. I'm going to use my eyeglass case to show you. You know those little cups they give you? Not the cups, like the little, they're shaped kind of funny, like a little tray. Sometimes you might see them in the dentist where they have all the tools in them or whatever. But it's literally like this size, right? So the baby comes out. They put the baby in this little thing and they take the baby off and they push out the rest of the stuff out of me. And then after that, they cleaned me up and I went home. And, you know, that was like the hardest feeling in the world, to walk into the hospital pregnant, excited to be a mom, and me not be able to walk out with my baby. A couple days go by and obviously I'm a mess. I'm depressed. I'm sad, right? So then we go back to the doctor and she's just checking on me a couple days later. And she says, I had a feeling he was a boy. So I said, could you tell what the gender was? And she said he was a little boy. And she said, and I knew it. I just knew it. So I went home and fast forward 2 weeks now. 2 weeks later, my husband comes to me and he says, Vicki, I have something to tell you. And I said, okay. And he said, remember when, he said the hospital contacted me a few days ago and they told me that we had 2 options with the baby. We could have a funeral and bury the baby ourselves, or we could have the hospital dispose of the baby. And I said, what did you say? He said, I told the hospital to go ahead and dispose of the baby. And that tore me up inside. It tore me up inside because I never got a chance to have closure with my son. But my husband didn't do anything that broke our vows. He didn't cheat on me. He didn't hit on me. And those are our two boundaries. But it still was traumatic. It still was trauma. It still was not his right to do that. It still was my right to have a say-so in what happened with our child, right? So that caused a lot of resentment over the years. And obviously it still has a little piece of my heart because I just never got to... Because I never got to grieve the loss of my son the way that I felt that I needed to grieve him. It made me feel like, it made me look at my husband like, how could you be so dismissive to your own child? This was your child too. He was 21 years old. Maybe 22. He didn't think about it. He didn't think about how it would affect me for many, many years. He didn't think about it like it was his son. He thought about it as he was trying to take the pressure off of me, for me to not have to make that decision. It wasn't coming from a mean place. It wasn't coming from a hateful place. It was coming from a place where he was trying to protect me the best way he knew how. Even though that way, to me, was the wrong way. And there's things that happen in marriage that are not boundary breaking, but that cause trauma that you have to get through and work through and talk through in order for you to get to a place where you don't resent your partner anymore. I don't resent my husband for doing that because I understand why he did it. My best interest to him in that moment was what he was thinking about, even though it was not the right thing to do for me. But he felt he was doing the right thing. Do I leave him because of that? Right? Do I hate him because of that? Do I divorce him because of that? No, none of those things. Did I resent that moment that he chose that option? Yes. Yes. Did he steal my grieving moment time away from me? Yes. But he did not intentionally try to hurt me, even though it hurt me. And sometimes we have to really sit with that. We have to sit with, things aren't going to always go smooth and happily and blissfully. There will be times, there will be moments where traumatic things will happen that your partner will do that they probably aren't even intentionally trying to do. But if it's not breaking your boundaries, the boundaries you set when you guys got married, I'm talking about marital boundaries, right? And if you don't have marital boundaries, you should have some. Even if you're already married, create some new ones. But is it worth leaving your partner? Is it worth starting over? Is it worth divorcing? And that's what you have to say to yourself, because every day isn't going to be, a fairy tale. There's going to be some sprinkles of trauma sprinkled in your relationship. And you have to decide. You have to make a choice. Am I in this for the long haul, or am I in this for, for the moment, until things don't feel right, until he hurts my feelings, or until she, makes me resent her, until what are you in it for? Are you in it to win it, or just in it for the minute? And that's just something to think about. And as always, I thank you for watching, and God bless.
Without my side, nothing will stop. Because this is my mind. No devil is hold on me.